Who should be the World Cup captain if Temba Bavuma is not fit to play ahead of the World Cup? That was a question that you guys sent to us on our Instagram account. You know that this is your Friday Q&A session with myself and Aditya as well. And this is where we answer all of your questions. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be answering all your questions. So just hold on before you get it into the live chat. Before you get it into the live chat on Facebook as well as on YouTube, we're going to first answer the questions that were given to us and sent to us on Instagram before we get started. So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a intro before we get started, because I think you guys need a little bit of a background story. So Temba Bavuma, that he was injured in the game. He tried to stop a throw and it hit his thumb, and ultimately he was injured and he was retired from the match. And scans since then have indicated a fracture, and Bavuma will return to South Africa as soon as possible to consult a specialist. And because of the timeline and everything, the return will be defined by subsequent to that. So ultimately, the time period of him coming back to South Africa, obviously quarantining, getting all of those things, I think quarantining again before wouldn't be enough time to get back into the South African setup if he was 100% fit. So that's what we will be talking about today. Who should be the World Cup captain is something that someone sent into us. So this is not necessarily, we're not giving you 100% facts that this is what happened. This is what was sent to us on Instagram. So let's get into today's discussion. Let's get into the Q&A session. I want you guys in the live chat, please, to just hold on before you give your questions in. Let's just first and foremost start with the questions on Instagram itself first and foremost. Let's get into today's video, guys. I'm really excited about this one. Get your questions ready for us so that we can dive into them. Facebook guys, please smash the like button, get your comments in there too. Go over to us for our YouTube channel to subscribe for more daily content. Let's get straight into it. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Q&A session. We're still waiting for Aditya to come through. Let's get into the question so long. I would like to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Let's just address some of the stuff that you guys have been asking so far in the comment section. Miller or Faf should be captain is what one person says over here. Is Bavuma's injury that bad? I just mentioned that today as well, what was said about that. Markram should be captain. I'm a huge Markram fan. Hashid saying Miller on the basis of seniority. Also, he has captained them before. A series win against Pakistan with himself bagging the man of the series, which shows he plays well as a captain. Captain material is Aiden Markram. He should be given the job. Change the title, guys. Why should we be changing the title? Just want to know why you're asking that. It shouldn't be a question. Aiden is all set to be captain. He has cemented his place in the T20, unlike Bavuma, and Aiden deserves the captaincy. Even if Bavuma recovers, Aiden should be lead in the World Cup. Can de Kock join the ODI team in for Bavuma? And that's not going to happen. He's been rested. So that's why he will probably not be in the side. Let's get into it. Let's bring Aditya onto the show. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you again. We're going to start with the Instagram questions first and foremost. Let's discuss that first. We've got the first one over here. Let's go from the back. Who's going to replace Bavuma for the remaining 2 matches? That was the first question that was sent in on Instagram. Now, it's already been announced that Keshav Maharaj will be the captain, the standing captain for the ODIs until they find a suitable replacement for the T20s. So that's what's going to be happening with regards to that. And then I think for the T20s is something that we need to discuss. But let's first, Aditya, for between myself and between me and you, let's first discuss what we think should have happened with regards to the captaincy, whether we agree with the captaincy, whether we think that Keshav Maharaj was the correct call. Um, do you think that Keshav was the correct call for captain, to standing captain at least?
No, I don't. I'm
That's
a
a
huge fan.
wow. Okay, we got to have a little bit of a chat here then.
I'm a huge fan of Keshav Maharaj, and I have been saying since last year that he should be more involved in white ball cricket. He should be part of the ODI team and the T20 team. But at this point, should he be named captain? No, I don't. Because, and it's not because I don't think Keshav has leadership attributes. He absolutely does. But there has to be a process in the way that you nominate a captain. In this team, you look at the 11 in this team, and you try to think of whether each individual, first of all, can cement his place in the team. So with Aiden, before the season started, he wasn't even sure that he was going to be a part of the ODI squad. He said that himself against Pakistan. So Aiden was not going to be that consideration because we all know that he's been sort of underperforming in ODI cricket. Temba was named captain, now he's injured. Rassi van der Tussen has been the most consistent white ball cricketer for South Africa for the last 2 years. And although he doesn't have captaincy experience, we all know that he is a leader in that squad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in various culture camps that South Africa has had, he has been pivotal to the success of those camps. So there's no doubt that the team views him as a leader. South Africa has not had that precedent of nominating bowlers as captain. David Miller has not been considered a captaincy option either. So in my mind, the only person left is Rassi van der Tussen. And let's not forget that South Africa hadn't officially named a vice captain for white ball cricket. They're still in the process of finding that person.
Okay.
So with Keshav Maharaj now nominated as stand-in captain, does that mean that he's the vice captain? I don't know. So I feel like the whole process has been muddled.
I think the process is muddled, and I'll give you my opinion on why. Particularly because we've been seeing Heinrich Klaassen get selected as captain when Temba wasn't available, or when there wasn't a captain available, so I was quite shocked that they did go with Keshav, but that does show to me that they have some sort of idea of who they make a captain and what criteria you need to be a captain. Because when Temba Bavuma was selected as captain, a lot of people said, why? Question his selection as captain, saying, but what has he done in the team that makes him the right person to be captain? And we've sat here, and I've sat here and said, well, he's been an excellent captain in domestic cricket. He took the Lions to quite a few trophies. He's been quite successful as a captain there. He just didn't have such a great captain reign with the Josie Stars. But other than that, domestically, he's the most experienced captain within the setup. Keshav recently has been one of the most successful captains too. He's taken the team to a 4-day competition. Well, he wasn't there for the entire period, but he took them to that. He also took them to the title in the white ball arena as well with Imran Khan. So, as a captain at the Dolphins, I feel that he has been a decent captain, and the way the players talk about him is that he is a future captain. I remember having a conversation with a coach. I'm not going to mention the name, but he was very adamant on Keshav being test captain, and not Dean Algar, because he felt that Keshav has all the attributes to be a good captain. So there are some professionals that believe that Keshav should have been a captain, but for me personally, when I'm looking at this, Keshav has only been in the setup for a couple of series now. I mean, he hasn't necessarily been a person that has been a stalwart within the setup. He's
Played
recently he's
12
become,
ODIs.
yeah, recently he's
12
only been
ODIs.
recently he's only becoming into the setup, and he only has 12 ODIs under his name exactly, and they've elected him as captain. But if this is the criteria that Mark Boucher and the selectors are going with, that you need to have experience at domestic level as a captain before you select them, then I can at least stand behind that. But because Heinrich Klaassen was selected as captain, that gives me a little bit of a worry, because I'm like, but his domestic experience as captain is not as much as some of the other guys. When he was at the Titans, I mean, for a while there was always, I'm not stand to be corrected, but he was only a couple of seasons or one season or so he was captain, I think, if I remember correctly. I can't remember exactly who was the captain before that, or what happened when that wasn't happening, but when he was coming through the system he was one of the captains, but he was already selected as a captain as well. If it's experience, then David Miller should be the guy, but David Miller is not currently in the setup, so in this particular team. So it's very weird the way they have come to that conclusion, seeing that unless they're just saying, look here, within this setup currently and the players that we have available to us right now, we're going to put Keshav in charge because he has captaincy experience with the Dolphins and he's had captaincy experience. I think that's the only logical explanation I can give for this. Because other than that, I would rather then put in a guy like Aiden or Rassi, who I believe could do a great job as captain and would be great vice captains for Temba Bavuma.
Look, I've been hearing the argument about Keshav having captaincy experience, and there is no doubt that he's a great thinker of the game, he's a great captain, and he's done a fantastic job for the Dolphins. But we need to put that into perspective. In the franchise system, there are 6 teams. Okay, so you have 6 captains. So technically, 6 out of 72 players in the franchise system in total will have captaincy experience, right? Or like 66 players. I'm sorry. So that's a minority. Not everyone who becomes captain has had some sort of captaincy experience. Joe Root has no captaincy experience. He's the most successful English Test captain in English history. Ricky Ponting had no captaincy experience because he was always a child prodigy. He was the youngest in every team that he played for. Michael Clark didn't have captaincy experience. So I don't know if Mahendra Singh MS Dhoni had no captaincy experience whatsoever. He was just appointed captain. So I don't know if that should be the defining factor that determines whether someone should be captain or not. There are other factors. Like if in the ODI team, if there's the first name on that sheet has to be Rassie van der Dussen. And in Temba Bavuma's absence, I simply cannot see how Rassie van der Dussen is not rewarded with the captaincy. In that period, in that tumultuous period, post 2019, he's held the team together. And performances have to count towards something. I don't think that these decisions can be made arbitrarily.
Yeah. No, well, I agree with you. And that brings us to our next question, which is who should be named captain for the T20 World Cup if Bavuma doesn't recover in time, which is the headline of this particular show. And if Faf du Plessis is not selected, which I hope he is for the World Cup, then Rassie van der Dussen would be my first choice. That would be my personal choice for the World Cup. He's a definite starter. He's one of the first on the team sheet, like you said. That would be my pick. They've taken the captaincy away from Quinton de Kock for their reasons, and then all of a sudden, they changed their mind on that. So like it's crazy. So I don't think Quinton de Kock would be in the running if they decide to pick Quinton de Kock. Then I'll be like, but why did we take the captaincy away from you in the first place? Let's go to the next one because we answered that in the first 14 minutes of this show already. Who should be the T20 captain? That is the next the next question, because Temba Bavuma will be missing out on that as well. When you look at the T20 squad, I think that in the T20s, they're going to want to pick a team as close to the World Cup's team as possible. And that's where I think they will go with 2 or 3 spinners. I don't think they'll play 2 spinners like they did. I think they'll maybe go for 3, because I think most likely that's where they're going towards. And if you look at the T20 setup as well, like once again, one of the first names on the team sheet again is also Rassie van der Dussen. So for the T20 setup, my selection would be Rassie or Aiden again, because but then again, Aiden in T20 is quite young. In T20, we would say he's only started performing now recently in T20s and being in the setup. So you have to give the guy with the most caps the opportunity, and I think my choice will be Rassie for the T20. So is that your same thought process for that? Because Aaron Keshav is not in that squad.
Yeah, look, I think if for the Sri Lanka series, if Temba doesn't get fit in time, I'd say that Rassie van der Dussen has to be captain.
But that's another puzzling thing for me, Aditya, because Keshav is not in the T20 squad if I remember correctly. Let me just double check that, guys, because I need to remember all the squads. You can't expect me to remember everything. But let's just pick it up again. Keshav is in the T20 squad. Yeah, so he is in the T20 squad. So then why not keep continuity and pick him as the captain for the T20s as well? Is it because they're not thinking of him as a starter in that particular game, in that series? Because I think he isn't in the T20 setup necessarily as a number one starter. I think George Linder tips him for that particular position in the side as that all-rounder spinner in the side. So why not keep continuity then? Why not kick Rassie over the 2 legs is what I don't understand.
Exactly my question. Because again, for all the respect that we have for Keshav Maharaj, and
I love Keshav, he's flipping brilliant.
He should be playing white ball cricket for South Africa. There's no doubt about it. But Rassie van der Dussen has to be captain. He's the first name on the sheet. He's been South Africa's most consistent player in white ball cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I don't, frankly, I don't know what the criteria is for the team management's selection for captain.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what it is, because assuming Klassen is not being considered anymore,
it's a strange one.
Right, but fine, then you still have to pick someone who is absolutely going to be there in that team. And you either pick KG or you pick Rassie. But they're not going to go with the border. So the only option, process of elimination, the only option is Rassie.
But maybe Hashid's theory is right over here, that the fact that they didn't is because they're thinking of either Miller or Quinton de Kock maybe to take over for that period. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They're the most experienced guys in the side ultimately. But we'll have to wait and see when the convener decides who they're going to pick for that. Okay, let's move on. We've got another question over here. Andile Pekrokwayo is no more batsman or bowler. Give chances to Vian Mulder or Dwayne Pretorius. Now, this is something that we dealt with in our review yesterday. I was pretty shocked that Dwayne Pretorius didn't get selected, because I really thought that he was a shoo-in. I really thought that he was going to be the guy that gets selected as our all-rounder, our batting all-rounder, because we need a batting all-rounder in the side. I always looked at Andile as a bowling all-rounder, but they're not trusting his bowling as much as I would like. They're not giving him the confidence or helping him get that confidence back, because I think Andile currently is having a bad run of form, and he's not confident at the moment. He's struggling with his confidence. So then you need to play him into confidence if that's the case, if you believe him to be the guy that's going to be the answer to your questions. So, yeah, I've been talking about Andile for a long time. I need Andile. For me personally, Andile gets into the setup if he performs. He needs to perform. He needs to put the numbers on the board. He needs to put the runs on the board for him to be considered in the seed team. For me personally, I would have. For me personally, because of the way we are set up currently, Going into the conditions that we are playing in, where spinners are supposed to be the what we bank on, an extra all rounder is very important in our team, just to give us some depth with and give us extra bowling options. Because if our two seamers get exposed like they did in the last match, because they were very much attacked in this match, you need an extra seamer to just take the pressure off. Unless you have an extra spinner, if spinning is working for you, you need an extra spinner, because we turned to Aiden yesterday. And I'm not saying that Aiden is not up for the job, because he bowled pretty well yesterday, but Aiden should be your almost your last resort in a way. I feel it's not the first person that you turn to. You want one of your George Linders or your Keshav Maharajas or your Tabray Shamsis to take the game by the scruff of the neck and just dominate. And that's what you want from your spinners. So if you're not going to play the extra spinner, then an extra seaming all rounder or a batting all rounder should be the case. And now that's why I thought Dwayne Pretorius leads the way, because we saw them pick Vian Mulder in the previous series. So it was shocking to me to see that they went with two keepers first and foremost. So they're picking Carl then as a batsman. So there's a lot of confusion in my mind when it comes to selection, because on the one hand, it looks like, okay, you're telling me that Carl Verena is the backup keeper, but then you play when Quinton de Kock's injured and you play Heinrich Klaassen as the first keeper. I personally believe that Calveren is a much better keeper than Heinrich Klaassen. I mean, Heinrich has said it in interviews before that, he doesn't mind giving up the gloves. You know what I mean? He doesn't, if he needs to focus on his batting alone, and that's what the coaches ask him to do, he would do it. Calverena is a specialist keeper in my eyes. He's had a great wicket-keeping coach as well that gave him all the skills that he knows. Carl's a different keeper, in my opinion, when it comes to that. So I don't see them. I see them playing Dwayne Pretorius as that number 6. That's what I'm seeing. And because they played Vian Mulder as that 6 in the previous series when Dwayne wasn't there, I automatically assumed that, Dwayne was going to get a start, regardless of whether Andila is there or not. So I think 7 is a little bit too high right now for Andile. I think 8 is a perfect position if they want to pick someone in that position. I think 8 is perfect for him rather than 7. I think he needs to get some confidence though, and get his confidence back on track, because his game is off. He doesn't look the same to me like he used to when he was performing well for South Africa. What is your thoughts on that, Aditya?
Look, we've been talking about Andile for a long time, and up until this point, I thought his skillful bowling was sort of keeping him in the team. But even that's off color now. He's been picked as your third seamer. And he's not even completing his quarter of overs. He's bowled 5 overs. And if your third seamer is bowling 5 overs, that increases your reliance on your sixth bowler, who's Aiden Markram. If Aiden Markram is bowling more overs than your third seamer, then clearly there needs to be a change in selection. Because if Andile cannot be relied upon as a batsman, then he at least has to bowl 8 to 10 overs. He can't be bowling 5 overs. Because as we saw yesterday, that strategy really backfired. KG and Andrik were both off color. Both of them were hit by Avishka Fernando. Now the thing is, if Tabrez Shamsi and Keshav bowled really well, but assuming one of the spinners didn't bowl well, and then you have your 2 seamers who haven't bowled well either, then what are you going to do? Then instead of 300, you're going to be chasing 330 or 340. So I feel like South Africa, they're placed in a difficult situation here. Because your third seamer has to be able to give you at least 8 overs. If he's giving you 5 at an economy rate of 7 and above, that's not good enough, particularly when your first 2 seamers are not doing well.
Yeah.
And again, I think South Africa are lucky that Aiden bowled well. But if Aiden was hit, then what? then
Yeah.
they're in for a fix.
Yeah. So I know, I know personally that when it comes to Andile was always favored rather in the ODIs more than the T20s, and that's been the case right through. But I've always seen this series as not only looking at separating the formats necessarily. I think it's about getting guys ready for the T20s so that we can prepare the best for the World Cup. That was my mindset going into the series, and that's what I thought that South Africa is going to approach it. Because when it comes to certain players, I thought that that's what they'll do. Ultimately, Antile has been the number one pick as an all-rounder for in the ODIs, generally speaking. But I was thinking that because Dwayne Pretorius hasn't played so many games, it would have been good to get him a run out in the middle in the ODIs so that he can prepare himself mentally. I'm not saying that they're the same, formats are the same, and the formats are the same. But what I'm saying is that at least he can get himself mentally ready for the T20s where he really needs to be preselected. And that's something that I think should happen. Personally, though, with regards to Andile should suit, in my eyes, should suit T20 more because of his pace and because of his the way how slow he does bowl and the variations that he does bring. I would have seen him work more in T20s than in ODIs. But yet they've given him more opportunities at ODIs where he has more opportunity to be exposed ultimately. So there's a lot of questions involved with regards to this. Um, when it comes to the quota system, everybody wants to throw quotas out when the players of color play badly. But what do you don't throw? We can't throw quotas out when white players perform badly. So it's a bit unfair. I don't like to look at it like that and say, "Oh no, it's a quota play. That's why he's performing badly." Because ultimately, when a white player performs badly, do we say the same thing? No, we can't because they are not quota players. They're not considered as that. They're just bad players. So we need to just be fair in our assessment of certain things. We can't use color anymore as a mechanism to insult a player or to say why they're bad or not. It's not a color thing. It's got to do with ability. It's got nothing to do with color. And I want you guys to please separate the two. Performing badly has nothing to do with color. It's got to do with confidence, whether you are good enough or not good enough. It's got nothing to do with the color of your skin. I'm sorry, I'm going to put that out there immediately and crush that because I don't like that. There's a super chat over here from Dylan Jansen. Welcome back to the show, brother. Khalid, the answer is Quinny to captain. And that's something that he wanted to say. So thanks a lot for the answer. It's not a question, so it's just a statement. Let me get to some of the questions over here that are in the live comments. With regards to the ODI, should the Proteas also start prepping for the 2027 World Cup and not only the 2023 World Cup? That's a great question. You see, for me, I mean, if you read any of my pieces that I used to write before, in 2016, 2017, 2018, I've been saying that the preparation for the 2023 World Cup had to happen then already. That the 2019 World Cup was too short of a space of time for us to get ourselves ready without AB de Villiers, to get ourselves ready in time to be able to compete, to get into a final. I almost said, let's write off that 2019 World Cup because ultimately we got a new coach in 2 years. You expect him to win a championship with a team that's in disarray that we're trying to find. We're only trusting our bowling attack, and that's how we're going to go into these matches. It was a little bit all our eggs in one basket type of scenario. And I mentioned, I said, what if we get injured? What if one of our speedsters get injured? And that's exactly what happened. 3 of them did. Andrich pulled out before the World Cup. Tailstein pulled up injured. He couldn't play. KG got injured. He was coming back from injury. He was only playing at 80%. And so was Lungingidi. So we put all our eggs in one basket and we failed because of that. So I was always about preparing for the next 2023 World Cup. So my understanding of that is to build a nucleus around a team and around a captain. And that's why I always thought that Aiden would be captain and they'd build the ODI team around Aiden, give him the opportunities to get himself with that team and grow his confidence in that mechanism. And I thought they were going in that direction when they picked him as captain against India. But that was almost like a throw you under the bus scenario. You know what I mean? It was such a sudden selection at that young age. I was like, but Aiden has barely played ODIs at this stage. You're already letting him captain. I mean, a senior team. You know what I mean? It's not like He's captaining a younger team that's younger than him, where he can actually put his authority on the game. Because I think for the 2023 World Cup, a lot of these guys might go out of form. And then what we're going to do? Now we have to find new guys to rush into the team at the last minute to come and play in the biggest world stage. I thought that building through that period. Okay, things have changed now because qualifiers and everything, every match is a winning match. So now you have to pick the best that is available to you. So things have changed since then. But I'm talking about a couple of years back that we should have been doing that already. So I thought build your team around Quentin de Kock, KG Rabada. Make sure that they are your nucleus at the moment, and Aiden, and then you build your team around those guys. And unfortunately, they didn't go that direction. Let's see some of the other questions. If there are any questions, a lot of you guys are saying, "Oh, I see Ashid's comment over here saying no, Khalid." I hope I did explain this. That why I was saying these things about the ODI format and talking about the ODIs in Pechluquayo, because I was talking about his form. His form has been poor across formats. He hasn't been necessarily at his best in even domestic cricket. He's been lacking. They've been pushing him up the order, pushing him down the order. For the Blitz, he batted higher up. Then, so I think they're confusing the guy on what his role is. I think that's currently what's happening. So thank you for the comment and rectifying me. But I had a point that I was trying to make, that Dwayne Pretorius, I felt needed to play in this series just to get his mind right, because he's been without cricket. Because what's going to happen is now you throw him into the T20s. He hasn't played in for like months and months and end. He's been under quarantine. He had COVID. There's so many things that he's undergone. Stress. That's a lot of stress that he had to undergo. Mentally, it's a lot very draining as well. So I just thought that throwing him into the T20s, it's a lot to ask from someone. If he doesn't perform, then are we going to call for his head? So because that's how it comes across when it comes to Black African players or players of color. When they don't perform, get them out of the team. Are we going to show the same attitude towards Dwayne Pretorius if he doesn't perform? So we put a lot of pressure as coaches, as selectors on our players. We make it almost impossible sometimes for them to actually put on a good performance. Let's see, Khalid, what changes would you make in the second ODI? Like I said already, I would bring in Dwayne Pretorius for Heinrich Klaassen personally. I want to see Kyle Verreynne get given another opportunity, because the reason I'm saying that is not because I'm a Kyle Verreynne fan club type of person. I think that in the ODIs we can experiment a little bit more, and I think that in the ODIs, because we need to find that finisher with regards to the T20 setup. Heinrich needs to perform. If he wants his spot, he needs to perform in the T20 setup. We need him, because that's the World Cup's position that we're playing for here. So I want to get Dwayne Pretorius the most amount of opportunities to be able to get ready, to be able to play. I think that we can experiment a little bit more in the ODIs, because I think giving Andile another opportunity, let him go out there and play. Let Dwayne Pretorius bat at 6, higher up the order, like we'd like him to see him, and give Kyle Verreynne another opportunity, because I feel that for the 2023 World Cup, he might be one of the first guys to put his name on the tee sheet. Put him behind the wicket, let him be a wicket keeper, and let him do his current role, and see where that goes. But then on the flip side, you look at it, we need to win the game. We need the points. So Aditya, that's what I would do. But what would you do when it comes into this particular game in the second ODI?
Yeah, I'd definitely pick Dwayne Pretorius. I think he needs as much game time as possible, and South Africa needs to strengthen its batting. So I guess Klaassen and Kyle will hold their spots, but I'm not sure who'll replace Temba. Maybe everyone can go up a spot, and you can play 2 all-rounders, play Vian Mulder and Dwayne Pretorius, and strengthen the bowling as well. So that's an option as well.
Or they can just keep the same team, move everybody up the order, play Dwayne Pretorius and Andile and Heinrich. I mean, if they want to give Heinrich more opportunities. Me personally, I know Heinrich scored more runs than Kyle, but I felt that Heinrich's approach in the match, me personally watching him, Aditya, I was a bit upset about the way that he didn't take control of it. Like he allowed the Andile and KG to take too much of the strike when he was the informed batsman. And I don't like to see. You know that I have a pet peeve against that. I've had the same criticism against David Miller when he's done it in the past, but David hasn't done it in the last couple of series. He's been taking control and he's been taking the game away from opposition, which I want to watch him and see him play. So that's my thoughts on that. Guys, we've reached the cap on this. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Aditya, is there any final words that you'd like to say before I say goodbye to the fans?
Well, I guess it's more for the South African team. I hope they can sort of, adapt a little bit better and, produce a collective effort. Because I think when you have to make 48 of 30 and you have 7 wickets in hand, generally the odds are in favor of the batting team. So I think South Africa should be quite disappointed. But in saying that, there are plenty of positives that they can take from this game, and hopefully they'll come back stronger.
Mm-hmm. I see guys in the comment section saying Linda should play tomorrow. Yeah, Ashid saying, Khalid, don't be surprised if it's a debut for Linda in the next game. That wouldn't surprise me really. If he does get an opportunity and he does get a debut, it wouldn't surprise me at all because Linda is a very good player, and he does deserve opportunities. I just really want to get Dwayne Pretorius into the side. I think is what he's been lacking in the T20 setup. Because of the T20, I want to get him ready as ready as possible to go out there and give his best performances in the T20s. So I think he needs a run out in the middle, even if it is just one game. I mean, one ODI is enough time in the middle, enough time out on the field to get himself back into the rhythm of things again because he's been so long without cricket. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be doing this every single Friday. Sometimes maybe we'll bring a guest on as well. Maybe we'll try and see if that will work because not everybody's always available at this particular time. But thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. It's 100% free. The link is in the description. All back issues are free, as well as the current issue that is available right now, which is on coaching in South Africa. We're working hard on the next issue. And we will be getting that out to you soon, which will be all on domestic T20 cricket around the world. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button. Thank you, Aditya, for coming on. We'll see you guys again after the game with a review show. Take care, everybody.